And you do not need to. You don't have to upload a show your work unless you want to. All right. So this first one, we should get started here. Final exam review. So that first one is just the piecewise function. You just got to graph it. If you graph each one individually, you'll get an idea which one it probably is. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm going to write number 1, graph f of x, -2 minus x, -3 plus 2x, if x is less than or equal to 1, if x is greater than 1. All right, so let's go get the grapher out and see what's going on. All right, so -2 minus x is the first one. Second one is -3 plus 2x. And we'll call these both, call this f of x, I guess, just to keep them different. Now, if you look at the problem I wrote down, it says x is less than or equal to 1. So here's, 1's around here somewhere. Yeah, here. So I'm going to put a point, plug in x equals to 1 would be right there. Okay, so just to give you an idea, ignore the green line, it's just a border so you can distinguish this. So the first one on the paper, -2 minus x, happens when it's less than or equal to 1. So this line will be going upward. That's the red one, right? When it's below 1. Below 1 meaning on the x, this direction. So all the way up until here, this line is important. And then we switch to the blue one. When x is greater than 1, you graph -3 plus 2x. So -3 plus 2x. So you see, just connect them, right? Here and there. So, okay. So this red one, and then after this red, we jump to this blue one. Let's look at the answer choices. So we said it'd be going upward, right? Here. And then we switch to the other one, which is going up as well. And go double check. Yeah. So it's going to be D. Number 1 is D. I believe the answer is on the bottom. Let's check ourselves. Yeah, 1, D. You guys have any questions on how you graph these guys or how you distinguish between the choices? Okay. All right, let's do number 2. Number 2, not much to do here. I'm just going to put the answer choice there, D. Number 2 is graph the following. x squared if x is less than 1, minus 3x plus 2 if x is greater than or equal to 1. Okay, so same deal here. We're going to graph both of them and then just look at the first one when we're below 1 and look at the line when we're above or equal to 1. All right, so let's look at our grapher one more time. Okay, so first function will be just the parabola. And next function will be minus 3x plus 2. So let's x equal 1 is still the important point. So let's look at the green line, right? So when x is less than 1, I am looking at the parabola. So the parabola goes on up until here, and then it switches to the line there. Okay, so from here to there, jumps, goes down. So I need to pick the picture that has a parabola over here, and it has a line going down. Okay, so let's look at the options here. There's a parabola, so it should be C or D for sure, right? These don't make sense. So now I have to decide, is it an open circle? It's kind of hard to see. Let's zoom in a bit. Parabola says less than 1, so there should not be a full circle on the parabola. So D is wrong. There must be C. There should be a solid circle on the second equation because it's greater than or equal to 1. Okay. All right. So number 2. Let's see. Yeah, we're right. Cool. All right. So number 3. Number 3 says a bunch of stuff. Assume that the situation can be expressed as a linear cost function. Find the cost function. Fixed cost is $300. 80 items cost $4,300 to produce. Okay, so remember, for linear cost, we said, let's switch back to the paper. It should be mx plus b for linear, right? And we said that the b was fixed cost, and x is usually a price or cost per item. Okay. So it says 80 items. It costs 80 items to produce 4,300. So we don't know m. They didn't give it to us, but they gave us a fixed cost of 300. So we know this guy. But they gave us a point that 80 items cost 4,300. So we're going to use this to find the m. So plug in the 80 for x, set it equal to 4,300. So this is x, and c of x. So this will be 4,300 equal to 80 times m, or m80, whatever. Subtract the 300, because gets you here. And then you divide by 80, right? As usual, solving for m variable stuff, right? So 400 divided by 8, I think that's what, 50? Yeah, let's try. Let's see here. So that will be 4,000 divided by 80. Yeah, 50. Okay. So this implies that m is equal to 50. So the cost function cost function will be equal to 50x plus 300. You guys have any questions on number 3? We'll check the answer. Yeah, 50x plus 300. Okay. Number 4, you're just going to plug in a number. There's not much to do here, but we'll do one of them. What is the average cost per item when 200 items are produced? So you have costs, not average cost. So you're going to have to find average cost. So they're telling us for number 4 that the cost function is equal to 4.7x plus 9600. Okay. And then it says find the average cost of producing 200 items. So remember that the average cost function, right, is written this way, which is just the cost function divided by x. So that's all you do. So if they ask for the average cost of 200 items, which is the first one, you plug in the 200, but remember you have a x on the bottom, right? So the 200 will go down there as well. Divide by 200. So then that'll be your average cost. So let's see what that is. That'll be 4.7 times 200 plus 9600 divided by 200. So 52.7. So that is approximately 52.7. Part A. ABC will be the same deal, so we're going to skip those. Any questions? What's up?
Can you go back to the question, just how I was worded?
Yeah, let's look at it. So they gave you cost, right? And it said if in the cost function below, what is the cost of producing X items? Find the average cost. So that was the key word right here. Required to produce these amounts. So you gotta divide this by X, and then you plug in 200, 2,000, 5,000, and that's it.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's do number 5. It says the total cost in producing X college textbooks is C of X equal to 43X plus 34,000. What are the fixed costs? What is the marginal cost per book? Okay. And what is the total cost of producing 900 books? 35,000. So basically, they want to see if you understand what all this means, right? Okay. Alrighty then. You write down the function. The total cost of producing X college textbooks is C of X equal to 43X plus 34,000. Lost my train of thought there. Part A says, what is the fixed cost? Well, we said fixed is the constant, right? So fixed cost is 34,000. Part B, what is the marginal cost? No, I'm still sharing. Oops. There we go. Move this up. 75. Marginal cost will be the slope. Part C, it says, what is the cost of, where we go, producing 900 books? So for this question, you just plug in 900. So they're asking for C of 900. So that'll be 43 times 900 plus 34,000, which is some number. Let's find out what it is. 43 times 900 plus 34,000. That's 7,700. So that is part C.
I have a question. Where did the 900 come from?
So let's go back to the question. They have to give you that information. They say, what is the total cost of producing 900 books?
Okay.
So just plug in 900 there. And then the same thing for 35,000. Cost of producing this, you plug in 35,000. Already talked about average, so let's move on here. You guys have any other questions on part number 5? Okay, number 6. Revenue is this function for a home supply outlet. The profit when the sale of X units is given by this. Find the cost function. Okay. So we got profit, and they want to know what it is. Yeah, so find the cost equation. Well, let's go on the next page. Okay. 6 says find the cost. So on part 6, they give us revenue, which is 0.13x. They give us a profit function, which is 0.083x minus 0.9. And then you have RP. Oh yeah, then they ask for part A. Find cost. So remember the definition of profit, right? Profit is equal to the revenue minus the cost. So that means that cost would equal revenue minus the profit, right? I should put CMX here. Okay, so just subtracting line cost. Cost function is equal to the revenue minus 0.083x minus 0.9. So that'll be 0.13x minus 0.083x plus 0.9. You distribute the negative. I don't feel like subtracting decimals in my head. 0.13 minus 0.083. This will be 0.047x plus 0.9. So this is the cost function. Oops. That's part A. Any questions on part A? Okay. Part B says what is the cost of producing 6 units? Well, just plug in 6 to our new cost function, right? So C of 6 is equal to 0.047 times 6 plus 0.9. 0. So that'll be, just to use our calculator, find out. 0.047 times 6 plus 0.9. So up 1.182. 1.182. And this is in millions. Millions. Okay. So that's part B. Part C asks about breaking even. We talked about that a while back, right? Part C, the break-even point. That's when cost and revenue are equal to each other, or when profit is equal to 0. Same thing. Well, now let's do cost, revenue and cost. So we would use this idea. Excessive cost. Okay. I wrote the same thing again. Sorry. So revenue is 0.13x equal to cost, which is 0.047x plus 0.9. To solve for x, I'm going to move this x over here. So that'd be 0.13 minus 0.047. That'll give us 0.083. So this is 0.083x equal to 0.9. Divide both sides by 0.083, right? So x is equal to something. 0.9 divided by 0.083. Double check. That looks like 10.84. So that's number 6. You guys have any questions on 6? Shoot, was kind of zoomed out the whole time. I'm sorry. You guys able to see that earlier? Okay. All right, so verse 7. Remember to switch back this time. Suppose you're a manager of a firm. The accounting department has provided cost estimates, and the sales department has sales estimates. Blah blah blah. Determine what it will take to break even. Here's the cost. Here's the revenue. So just set them equal to each other, and we'll know the break-even quantity. Right. One moment. Okay. The cost is equal to 180 x plus 27 180. Revenue is equal to 225 x. Okay. So they wanted to break even, so that happens when they're each other. The same as before. So that'll be 180x plus 27 180 equal to 225x. So I'm going to subtract the 180 over there, leaving the 27k over here. 225 minus 180, that is what, 45, right? And then divide both sides by 45, and we'll be done. $27,180 divided by 45. Looks like 604 is the items we care about. So, looking back at the question, if we're breaking it even at 604 items, what does this all mean? The break-even quantity will be 604, which is one blank, then the number of units that can be sold. So we'll find the difference between this. So you subtract 604 from here, and you'll say that is no, I'm sorry, I'm overthinking it. So right here, this would be 604. Here we would just put it's less than the amount that I could sell. Number two, the firm should produce the product because it would make them money, right? So less than should make. Because this number is way above what we found. Okay. It has way too many parts, but let's look at it. Okay, suppose the demand and price for a certain model of youth wristwatch are related to the following question. Right there. Where P is the price and Q is the quantity demanded, find the price at each level of demand. Answer parts A through D. Okay. Find the price when the demand is zero watches. It looks like it'll be 32. Well, let me check before I start this. 32. Number 7 should be 32. Yeah, 32. Okay. Let me sure I'm understanding that correctly. Fair number 8. So the price and the demand is 0. You just plug in 0 for the quantity Q. That'll get rid of this piece. So it'll only leave you with 32. So the demand, the people want it when it's free, is only 32 for some reason. Part B, find the price when the demand is 800 watches. So you plug in 800, and you'll get a price. Okay. Find the quantity demanded for when the price. Yeah, basically we're just plugging in numbers. There's not much to do here, really. Do you have any questions on number 8? Do you see what you're supposed to do? Just plug in 0, plug in 800. Okay. Go on a 9 then.
Sorry, I do have a question.
Yeah.
That 1B, I just so happened to put it in to my
B?
calculator. Yeah, so it's 32 minus 1.5 times 800, right? That's
Yeah, I think so.
like,
Uh-huh.
I'm just curious because it comes out to negative 968 unless I put it in wrong in my calculator, but
Let's check. Number 8, right?
mhm.
Number 8 should be 22.
Okay, so I just
What did you get?
negative 68. I think that's why I was confused because I know, it's asking for a price and it really shouldn't be negative.
True. Let's read it one more time. Find the price and the demand is 800 watches. Yeah, because the demand will keep going downward. One second. Oh, it's already in hundreds. So you would put in 8.
Oh, okay.
Try plugging in 8 instead. Does that give you 22-ish? Where it is?
Yeah, that gives me 22. Okay. Wow, that's tricky. Thank you.
Yeah, and they tricked me too because I didn't read the question carefully. I got to be careful. But the idea is the same. Just plug in these numbers, but it's understood that Q is already in 100. Okay, looks like 9 is the same deal. Number 10. Okay. So it wants us to find the intercepts, vertex, maximum or minimum, and the range. Now, if we graph that, we should get most of it. Okay, so G of that. Intercept part A, part B, part C, D, vertex. All right, let's go graph it. Okay, so x squared plus 7 plus 8. Okay. The intercepts are right here. The x-intercepts, I might need more space for this. X-intercepts are 1, 0 and negative 1, 0. Y-intercept is 0, 1. That's it. Okay. Vertex is also 0, 1 technically. Although sometimes in the homework or in the test, they just want the x value. So x would be just 1, negative 1. That's also correct. This is the point, so they could just ask for the value. It depends how they phrase it. Okay, part C, max or minimum, right? That's the same as the vertex. That happens at the vertex. So we have a minimum because it's opening downward. I'm sorry, maximum. Because it's opening downward, not minimum. Maximum at 0, 1. So you gotta make sure you know which one it is, right? Part D is the range, which is all the y values. So if we look at it one more time, so the highest point, we just called it the maximum. So the highest y value is 1, correct? Then it keeps going down forever. So the lowest value is negative infinity for the y. So you would say bracket 1, negative infinity. Oops, backwards. That's dyslexic on you guys. The smallest one is always first, or the most negative. So negative infinity all the way up until 1. But you don't put brackets on infinity ever. Brackets are for values. Infinity is not a number. Any questions on number 10? All right, let's skip 11 because it's the same thing. 12. John owns a hot dog stand. You guys have this file, correct? Or no?
Is that the in the my lab?
It's in Canvas, but I'm going to go ahead and send it to you in the chat box right now. That way you can follow along without, let's do that again. In case you don't have it, you can follow along and look at the answers too. So just download it from the chat box. All right, number 12 says, John owns a hot dog stand. He has found that his profit is represented by this equation, so parabola opening downward. with P being profits and X the number of hot dogs. How many hot dogs must you sell to earn the most profit? Oh, 1 second. There we go. Okay. So basically, we need to see when, what is the max of the parabola, right? So we have the profit function, negative x squared plus 52x plus 70. So let's find the maximum, because if we go beyond the max, we start to lose money. So you need to figure out how many hot dogs do I sell? Because if I make too many, I will lose cash, right? Because eventually people don't buy them, they spoil or whatever. Who knows what happens? Okay. Profit is x, negative x squared plus 52x plus 70. Okay, it's kind of way up there. There it is. So maximum, so he keeps making hot dogs. Eventually, he gets a maximum profit at this peak. So it looks like selling 26 hot dogs is the magic number. After this point, right, if I increase X any further, I start to lose cash. And eventually go back to zero and then negatives, which nobody wants, right? Nobody likes seeing negative numbers in their bank account. It's always a bad day. So that's going to be what? Let's see how they phrase the question first before I answer. So, but I'll write the vertex down at 26,746. You can still use those formulas I showed you before if you want. You don't have to. So yeah, they must sell 27. No, 26. Yeah, see, 26 hot dogs for max profit. If they asked for the profit, you would say $746. But it did not. Okay. All right. 12, 13 is the same deal. Do you have any questions on 12? Sure. Okay then. Next one, let's look at 14 here. Find the profit function, P of X, for a corporation for the years 2004 to 2012. Give the revenue function R of X and the cost function through those years. All right. So they're given right here for those years. They want profit. Okay, that's not too bad, right? So just subtract them and we're done. So let's write down the function that we need. Just remember that profit is equal to revenue minus the cost, right? So that would be, yeah, so let's write down the revenue, I guess. Revenue, I don't have enough space for one function. Yeah, I'll do it over here. Revenue is negative 0.0645 x cubed plus 1.0 601 x squared minus cost is equal to negative 0.023 x cubed plus 0.842x squared minus 7.45 x plus 100 points. They got to subtract these from each other. Okay. All right, well, here we go. Just got to be careful. So profit will equal revenue negative 0.00645 plus 1.601 minus 11.74x plus 114.2 minus 0.023 plus 0.842x squared minus 7.45x plus 100.2. Hope you guys can read that. Put it down here. Okay. So just subtracting the negatives will be just adding them, right? You can also subtract them up and down if you want. Doesn't matter. What I'm going to do though, I'm going to shift them to horizontal just so it's easier. So it'll be 0.0645x cubed minus is an 8 plus. You don't have to do it this way. I'm just doing it for no reason. Right. Minus a plus, that would be 1.601x squared. Add these guys together. This one plus that one, or actually minus 0.842x squared negative 11.74x plus 7.45x 114.2 minus 100.2. All right, let's see what the heck we get. This is not difficult, it's just annoying. Bunch of ugly numbers. Okay, so profit will be equal to 0.0875x cubed. Okay, minus 0.0842. So that'll be positive 1.5168 x squared negative 11.74 plus 7.45 plus 14 it looks like. Sorry, it took longer than it should have. Anyway, the general idea is simple, right? Just subtract these two, and that's it. It's just that these two were ugly. That was not very nice of them. Okay. You guys have any questions on number 14? Okay. Let's go to the 15. Now, 15 says, give the equation for the vertical and horizontal asymptotes. The vertical is just when the bottom is 0. If you can't see it, set it equal to 0 and solve. Horizontal, I gave you 3 cases. And I said if the degrees of the top, the numerator, and the denominator are the same, then you just take the coefficient of the highest power. So -1 is in front of the highest power on top. 1 is in front of this one, so y equals to -1 over 1 is the horizontal. Not much really to do there. You just got to remember those rules. Okay. F of x is equal to 4 minus x over x minus 1. The horizontal asymptote happens at x equals to 1, because if I plug a 1 down there, you get a 0. And we said, I'm sorry, that's vertical. Vertical is when the bottom is 0. So you set the bottom equal to 0, and then you solve, and that's where this comes from. Okay, now for the horizontal, we said it depends on the degrees, if they're the same. Then y is equal to the coefficient, so that's a -1 over this coefficient, 1, which gives you -1. Are there any questions on 15?
Yeah, could you go over that horizontal one more time?
Yeah, so there's 3 scenarios. Let me see if I can find that sheet I sent you probably a couple of months ago. 1 second. Okay.
Oh, is it the case 1, case 2?
Yeah, that's the one. I know where I put it. You want to throw it in the box?
Oh, it's in my handwritten notes.
Oh, okay. Okay, no worries.
But yeah, so this one was n is equal to m, right? So then that means y is equal to a over b.
Yes. So if the degrees are equal, case 1, then the horizontal asymptote would be those a over b. Y equals a over b. Excuse me. If the degree on the bottom is bigger, then horizontal asymptote will be equal to 0. If the degree on top is bigger, then that's when we start getting into the oblique asymptote stuff.
Okay, thank you.
It's just bugging me that I lost that stupid sheet. No. No, whatever. Anyway, sorry. That was just starting to bug me. Let's look at the next one. So here's another example, right? Rational function. If they're not asking for the asymptotes here, but if they did, the degree of the top and the bottom are the same. So you would divide 3 over 2. So 3 halves, the coefficient 3 and 2 would be your asymptote. So you'd pick, so all these need to be around positive 3 halves. And if it isn't, it's going to be wrong, right? So looks like B is for sure wrong because 3 halves is positive, and the asymptote here is in the negative. B, C is wrong. Looks like D is also wrong. I think might be only A. Let's check it out. Seriously. That is number something. 16. 16. Yeah. C. Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about horizontal, not vertical. Stupid. Um, yeah. So it would have to be horizontal asymptote of 3 halves. So B is wrong for sure. And it has to be A, C, or D. But of course, I would just graph this and pick the right option. 17, they answered the vertical, horizontal, so it'll be the same deal. For horizontal, it's going to be negative 3, right? Divided by the 1 in front of the n. So just negative 3. So that'll be part C. So intercepts you'd find by graphing. Domain, same deal, by graphing. Just remember you have to choose the values around the asymptote. But anyway, you guys have any questions on 17? No, I'll skip this one. Is that doable? Okay. 18, we need to use our log properties to solve this exponential. Let's do 18. To solve the following, 5 to the 8x minus 3. Well, I guess we'll take a break after. Well, maybe. Yeah, let's take a break here. This one might be long. 625. So it's 720. Let's come back at 735. So if the bases match, you can set the powers equal to each other. So 8x minus 3 is equal to 4. So add the 3 over. That'll be 7. Divide by 8. X is equal to 7 over 8. That's the easy way if they match. Now, if they don't match, you'd have to use ln on both sides, right? Then you bring down the 8x minus 3 in front of the ln. Then you divide this number out on both sides. Okay, so divide both sides and it gets 8x minus 3 equal to ln of 625 over ln of 5. So I just got to isolate that 8 and we'll be done. So 8x is equal to ln of 625 over ln of 5 plus 3. And then finally, x divided by 8 both sides, right? I get this. You see how this is a little harder, but this is how you would do it. But divide by 8, I just go down here, by the way. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So if you put this into the calculator, it would be the 7, same thing as 7/8. Let's test it out for fun, right? 7 divided by 8, 8.875. So this is approximately 0.875. Now to punch all this in, I should get the same. So let's see if it's the same. ln 625 divided by 8. So I'm going to use 8 times ln 5, and then plus 3/8. So see how it's the same deal. This is still 0.875. So if you can change the numbers, then go for it. If you cannot, then you're going to have to introduce logs on both sides. Use the power rule to bring down the variables you're trying to solve, and then isolate the variable, which I did here. Is there any questions on these two approaches? All right. 19 is the same type of question, but notice how they're already 7. So you would just set this part equal to 4. And then you would start solving it like a quadratic. Now it's not too bad. Let's move on to 20. 20, the assets in billions of dollars for a financial firm can be approximated by the function ax equal to 330 e to the 0.068x, where x is equal to 7, corresponds to the year 2007. Find the assets in each of the following years. Okay, so 7 is 2007, so that means that 2012 would be 12. So you would just plug in 12 into this x, plug in 15, etc. So I'll do the first one. Okay. No, shit, that's 20, not 18. 20. Okay. So a of x is equal to 300e to the 0.6, actually 0.068x. So part A wants to know what happens at 2012. So A would be simply A of 12, which is 300 times e to the 0.068 times 12. That is approximately 678.431. So you'll do the same thing for B and C. How many questions on 20? One, number of bacteria is growing in an incubation culture with this function where x is in days. Find the number of bacteria at x equals 0. Remember we said that 0 is represented by the amount at 0 is represented by this number in front of the model. The 9200 is in front of the 5 to the x. That's how much you'll have to start with. So it has to be 9200. So it has to be A, B, A, C, D, right? Then it says, how much do you have at 4th day? X equals to 4 days. So just plug in 4 in there and we'll know. And then we'll match it up. Do you guys have any questions on 21? No, I think I'm going to move on to 22. Okay. 22, solve the equation, the log equation. Let's do this. 22. Log of x plus log of x plus 3 All right, so you got to get rid of that log. Cancel the share here. And remember, if they don't write the base, it's assumed to be 10, right? It's called the common log. So, but in order to get rid of the log, you first have to combine all the logs into one, and then introduce the base. So remember that log of A plus log of B is equal to log of A times B. So this would be A times B, right? So that'll be log of x squared plus 3x Right, so once you do this, just introduce the base, and that's it. So these cancel, leaving you with x squared plus 3x equal to 10. X squared plus 3x minus 10 is equal to 0. So x, factor this just be like your usual quadratic, and that will be minus 2 times x plus 5. So the solutions would be 2 and negative 5. But remember, you can't plug in a value that results in a negative. So look at the original. If I plug in a 2, that stays positive inside. 2 plus 3 stays positive. Plug in negative 5. Negative 5 plus 3 is negative. Negative 5 is just straight up negative. So I cannot use this guy. So on the answer choices, you do not want to choose along with that negative 5 if they phrase it that way, or sorry, set it up that way. So this is the equation we made, right? Except we had a 10. We have to introduce the base 10. So you should have this guy. Then you solve for x and you'll choose 2. They don't have a multiple choice for the values, but that's just the same thing. Any questions on 22?
The exam will have multiple choice though.
I'm sorry?
The exam will actually have the multiple choice, or will we have also a
90% sure the whole thing is, but let me check for you. That way you can have some peace of mind there. Yeah, they're all multiple choice. I don't see one that isn't. Okay, so let's go back to the exam. Yeah, the review will be much harder than the actual test, but it's going to be the same topics. It's just to give you a ton of topics. I mean, a ton of questions for each topic just for the practice. Because I think I told you the test wasn't that long, right? I already forgot how many I said, but.
8, I think you 18.
18? Got it. Yeah, let me double check. Yeah, 18. You're right. So even though this review has a ton of questions, up to 48, you're only going to have 19. All right. 23 is the same. They just use a B instead of 10. 24. Let's see what you think about this one. It says the worldwide number in millions of a particular phone sold can be approximated by this function. 11 corresponds to 2011. So there's a function. If I plug in for 2014 for 2014, I'll answer part A. So what was the number of worldwide sales for the particular phone in 2014? So that means plug in 14 for this X, and you get a number. And that's all you really do. Part B, if the model continues to be accurate, What was the first full year in which the particular phone sales exceeded 259? So they want to know when is the y value, 259. So you'd have to set this equal to 259 and solve for x. Or you could graph it and just look at it. Let's see. So fx is equal to, I already took that, negative 873 plus 396 ln of something. I think it's just x, right? Okay. So remember, all of these are in millions, the y values. This is just the number of cell phones or something. I already forgot what they're talking about, but who cares? 259. They want to know what year do they hit 259. So 259 is way down here, right? 259 is about, well, I suppose I could just do this. No, sorry, that's wrong. It'd be backwards. The y value is 259. That happens about 2000, after 2017, it finally hits. Yeah, so back to the question. When did it exceed? I would say 2017. So 24, answer key. They chose 2018 because let me think about that. Because 2017 it begins to pass it. But does it happen at the beginning of the year? It happens in the middle, so they probably just go to the next year. So let's look at the graph one more time. Justify our thinking. Curious, I don't think if I do this. 259. Oh, I got an idea. Stupid. Set it equal to 259, and then just find out where they intersect, right? That's better. So 259 happens in the middle of 2017. So they just go ahead and go to the next year, so they know for sure. Because it says, I think, it probably says round to the nearest year or something. Let's go back to that, 24. 24. Yeah, what was the first full year? That's the key word. See, I didn't catch that at first. The first full year that they're beyond 259 is 2018, even though it happens in the middle of 2017. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions on 24, or you can show how to do it by hand if the graphing is not sufficient? Okay, let's keep going then. 25. Okay. This is an interest question from our last test, I think. A student received an inheritance from her grandfather of $6,000. She places the money in a savings account paying simple interest. So we're only going to use a simple interest formula, that's our keyword, at 15%. What will be the value of the account after 3 months. Give me 1 moment, please. Sorry. 1. This is number 25. So you get 6,000. So principal 6,000. Interest rate is 15%, so 0.15. Time, there's 3 months, so that'd be 3 out of 12 years, right? Simple interest formula is equal to, what is that? Will be the value of the account. So what's total? So we're going to use this formula. Future value is equal to principal times 1 plus RT. So that will be 6,000 times 1 plus 0.15 times 3/12. Okay, so 6,000 times 1 plus 0.15 times 3/12. So that is 6,225. So that sounds reasonable. In 3 months, you made that much interest. That interest rate is pretty high, so not too shabby. 25. Okay, 26 is compounded monthly. So this one is the monthly compounding formula. Okay, so let me write down all that info for 26. 26 will be principal, 11,000. The rate is 0.07. Compounded monthly for 10 years. N is monthly, so compounded monthly. Sorry. N would be 12. I think we used M, right, in our notes. Try to remember. T is 12. So the future value is the compound amount. All right, let's switch back. Okay, the formula is P times, no, I think it's 1 plus, no, I forgot, let me go check. 13, where is he? Oops, 5.2, compound interest. We use PV. 1 plus I to the N, where I is R over M, and N is M times T. So that would be 11,000 times 1 plus R over M, so 0.07 over 12, compounded monthly per year, so time will be 12 times 12, which is 144 up here. Okay, so 11,000.
Can I ask where you got T is 12?
I'm sorry?
Where did you get T equals 12?
Why is M 12?
T.
Oh, time. You know what? It's a good question. Let me look at the question. Let me look at it again because I could be wrong. It's 10 years, right? Not 12. I made an assumption for some reason. So that should be 10. This will be 120. Thanks for letting me know before I went too far there. 0.07 divided by 12 to the 120. So that is approximately 22,106.28 dollars. Any questions on 26? Okay. Alrighty. Let's look at the next question. So 27 is the same deal here. 28 is the APY formula. Maybe we can do that one. Just give me 1 second. One plus R over M to the M minus 1. Look at the question, and it says, right. Okay, so EPY was 28. So for 28, all we need is the rate and compounding. So rate is 0.08. M is 2, compounded twice, right? So that would be simply 1 plus 0.08 over 2 to the 2. Should be it. Double check the formula. Yeah, cool. Okay, let's get our calculator. Okay. Okay, so here we go. 1 plus 0.08 divided by 2 to the 2. All right, let's see if that's correct. That's approximately 1.816. It's a little big. 8%, right? They said in the question. All right, let's go down to the question of number 28, right? Well, the answer choice says 8.16. I am not right.
I think it was just the -1.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Thank you. So then you would get 0.0816, which is as a percentage, 8.16. Cool. Thank you. Getting paranoid now. Okay. Any questions on the APY stuff? It's just the formula, pretty much.
Yeah, so APY is always going to be a percentage, right?
Yeah, it should be. Because you're basically, the idea of APY is you convert your compounded or your whatever type of interest into a simple interest that is comparable to compounding monthly or semi-annually. So using this as simple will be the same as using compounding at a different rate. Okay, 28, 29. 29, we'll be using the annuity formulas with a payment. And we're going to use future value that uses payment. So we got to find that formula. All right. Go get that PDF. I believe that's 5.3. Yeah, it's going to be this guy. Future value with payment. Number something, I forgot what number it was. Is number 29. Yeah, sorry. Find future value of an annuity type question. Payment amount is 2,400. Interest rate is 1.30, so 0.013. Compounded monthly, so M is 12. Time is 2 years. Okay, got everything we need now. Go to the formula page and write the formula down. FV is equal to payment times all this weirdness. 1 plus I to the N minus 1 over I. Okay, so let's plug it in. We should be good. Just remember that I is R over M, right? And N is M times T. So 2,400 times 1 plus R over M, 0.013 over 12 to the N, that would be 2 times 12, 24, minus 1, everything over R over M, which is 0.013 over 12. Remember, I gave you that prettier looking formula, right? I use a pretty one. It looks like this. So I'm going to use my algebra to make it nicer. So maybe 2,400 times 12 divided by 0.013 times 1 plus 0.013 over 12 to the 24th minus 1. Okay. So put this in your calculator. That will be 1 plus 0.013 divided by 12 to the 24 minus 1. I need another set of parentheses in the front. There we go. Does that seem reasonable? I don't know. We started with what? Well, we don't have a principal, so let's hope that is reasonable. If I put away $2,400 for 2 years, yeah, that's reasonable. 58,323.33 cents. So to the nearest cent, it would be this. Now let's check our answer choices. 29 is hopefully correct. Yeah. Okay. So those reviews are a little long, but we're almost there. All right. 30 is basically a continuous compound question. We already did one of those. Similar anyway. Here you're solving for payment. So this is the formula from 5.4. So you're going to look for PMT. I think I gave you the formula for PMT, right? I don't know if it's in here or not. Let me see. Yeah, using this one. So you just use this formula for number 31. You just plug in everything, and you'll have payment. The 31, 32 are the same deal. Okay. 33. 33 is, yeah, looks like 31, 32, 31, 32, and 33 are all the same thing. Find your payment. Do you want to do any of these? If not, I'm going to move on to the next subject. Okay. 34. These are the questions you can solve with your matrix calculator stuff or a online solver. Since I'm letting you use whatever, I'd like you to use the solver. So let's go ahead and do 34. So 34, he says, use elimination, but we're going to ignore them and just solve it. So it says 7x plus 2y is equal to negative 12. Negative 7x plus y is 15. Add them together. Oh, I'm sorry. So we're going to ignore them. That's going to be the row or column of x's is the first one. So 7 and negative 7. The y's are 2 and 1. Constants are negative 12 and 15. So then just punch that into a solver and you'll be done. So let's go ahead and find one. I sent you that one by Rajesh, I think it was. Rashish, I forget. Here. I recommend this one. If one uses it during the test, it's totally fine. All right, so this is a 2 by 3, or 2 rows in our matrix, 3 columns. So set the matrix, 7, 2, negative 12, negative 7, 1, 15. And then just solve it. So x1, which is x in our case, negative 2, y is 1. So this would be solved as 1, 0, 0, 1, and it would give you negative 2 and a 1 right here. That's how your calculator would show it. Or if you use matrices by hand, you'd end up there. Any questions on the matrix problem? So 35 would be the same deal. Just create a matrix. The first column would be 8 and 4. Second column would be -6, -3, and then the last column is a constant, 2, 3. Okay. This is the same thing. Solve it. They're just asking you. If you notice the differences, right? They're asking you to solve it using different methods. Now let's look at the answer choices so we can see how they write it. So if there's an answer, right? The first one we did was 34, -2 and 1. 35, well, if you see no solution, well, you just write no solution. The solver will tell you. This one, though, they write kind of weird. So let's do 36 so you can see how they write it and how our solver does it. So 36 is 2x plus 5y equal to -7, -6x minus 15y is equal to 21. So the matrix will be 2, -6, 5, -15, -7, and 21. All right, so let's look at the solver again, see how they do it, or how they represent the question anyway, or present it rather. Let's just go back. So we still have a 2 by 3, so let's set the matrix. 2, 5, -7, -6, -15, 21. So see how they put x2 is free? So that's our y value. So y can be anything, that's what this means. But they write x1. So they write x1 as, rather, we have x, not x1. So you would say x is equal to -3.5 minus 2.5 y. Okay. So replace the x2 with y, that's all you got to do. This would be your answer right here for the x value. Technically, the y is just 3. Now, let's see the answer choice again. Answer choice, see they have, oh, they have it in fractions. So I'm going to change that to fractions. 3.5 is technically what? As a fraction. Seven halves, right? So this is really -7 halves minus 2.5 is really what? 5 halves y. So -5 halves y plus 7 halves y. Yeah. Let me look at the way they answered it again. They only have y on one of them, but this answer choice has it on both. That does not make sense. Oh, I see what they did. I'm sorry, I just can't. I couldn't see this stupid screen. Yeah, this is a comma. That's not times y. It almost tricked me there. So negative. So this is answer C. -5 halves y is what we got. -7 halves, comma, y can be anything. So instead of putting 3, they just leave it as y. Okay. So you would have your answer choices would be written this way. mean, there's nothing wrong with what I just erased, but whatever. They just want it as a coordinate. They're saying, what is the solution? So the solution is negative phi halves y plus 7 halves. So this is the x value. This is like my x and the y, of course. Is there any questions on what how they write that? I know it's kind of weird, so just want to make sure we talked about it. All right, so when you use a solver, make sure you know what it means. So obviously, if they say no solution, that's what you write. If they give you an answer, well, you choose it. If it says, if you see that free thing come up, that's a scenario we talked about last time where you have infinite solutions. Okay, 38, 39, I mean, I think these are, remember we talked about this, right? You just subtract each individual number. So negative 2 minus 5, negative 15 minus 8. I don't think we need to do that one. Scalar multiplication, 3a, means multiply all of these numbers by 3. You get the same matrix scaled up by 3. We did these last time. You can use I believe you can use the website for that. Let's check it. Or your graphing calculator. So yeah, here it is down here, matrix multiplication. You can choose the matrices and just multiply them. So that's not really worth doing. Okay. You're not going to have anything like that. Graphing, use your grapher and that should be very easy. We talked about this last time, so I'm going to move on from there. 40, this is the ones that we have not talked about, 47 and 48. So all you need to know is this one idea, so you can solve these questions. 47. It says fill the missing value to make a valid probability distribution. So the rules are that P of x must be between 0 and 100, or sorry, 0 and 1. So in other words, that is to say bracket 0, 1. Okay, there, stop sharing there. So this is rule number 1. So you can't have any negative probabilities. If you see a P of x or a P value that is negative, then you say, okay, something's wrong with it. Rule number 2. We'll do 47 in a second. The sum, I'll put it in English, not symbols, sorry. The sum of P of x must be equal to 1. It cannot be greater or less than. So when you add them all together, it better be 1. Okay, so knowing these ideas, you can answer questions like, this is for probability distribution, by the way. So if, in order for it to be a probability distribution, these two things need to be true. Okay, so now let's go to 48. It says, what is a missing number that'll fix this? So basically what they're telling you is, how do I make it equal to 1 or sum up to 1? Because they're missing a P. So they got 10 here, 20 here, 30 there. 40 here. And then you got 0.32 for the 40, 0.24 for the 30, there's a blank on the 20. So if I add these all up, it has to equal 100. So 0.11 plus blank, right? Plus 0.24 plus 0.32 must equal 1. 100%, right? 1. So add these numbers up. That would be what? 0.11 plus 0.24 plus 0.32. This is really just x plus 0.67. So subtract the 0.67. And that will give you what x. So you need a 0.33 right here. That's all you got to do. Okay. So that's what they're asking for, is this number. So that was the stuff, those are chapters we didn't go over too deeply at all, really. But you're only going to have a few questions like this, so just make sure you understand these two rules. So these two rules define if it is or is not a distribution. So 49, same type of deal. Last question for today, I guess. Use XIPI. Let me transfer. The -1, 0, and 4. 0.3, 0.4, 0.3. Okay. So the question says, if the probability distribution for the random variable x is given in the table, what is the expected value of x? So what they're asking for is E of x. So the definition of this is basically this formula. You sum up all the PIs. That is what they're asking for. Actually, sorry, I missed something. PI times XI. So it'll be PI times XI. So all I do is multiply these numbers. -1 times 0.3, 0 times 0.4, 4 times 0.3. You add them up. So 0.3 times -1 plus 0 times 0.4 plus 4 times 0.3. That will give us a -0.3 plus 0 plus, I don't know what that is, I think it's 1.2, right? Yeah. So the sum will be 0.9. So the expected value is 0.9. So that's what, whenever you hear that word expected value, all you need to do is multiply these numbers and add them together. So that's all you really needed for those chapters. I think it was chapter 7 or 8 or something. I forget. Do you guys have any questions on the 48, 49 stuff? That's the only new thing. Everything else has been reviewed. Okay. So remember, you can use whatever you like on the exam. Bring out your notes. You can use your calculators, online solver, online grapher. Just make sure it's done before Saturday morning. Okay. I think it's 10 a.m. The latest you can start it is probably Saturday at 7 a.m. Are there any questions or concerns or anything? You know what? I'm gonna give you a little bit more time. 7 a.m. sucks. I don't like that. Because I don't think I'm gonna be able to grade in the morning anyway.